You know what? I was thinking about getting a new pair of sports shoes and trying this super giant apparel brand, New Balance. As I researched more and more about it, I started to see how big it was. Bigger than I or anyone else knows. It's raking in a cool $7 billion this year by doing its own unconventional things while Nike, Adidas, and the gang are all chasing the latest trends. Shocking, right? In this video, I'll share every detail I dug up about this amazingly grown brand that made history with a comeback no one expected. I'll also dissect New Balance's anti-trend playbook. Reveal the hidden reasons behind their billion-dollar success and how they've managed to stand tall in an industry where trends rule the roost. So stick with me through the whole video and don't forget to subscribe first. All right, now, I won't be answering the title's question directly, as you may not understand it without knowing a little bit about New Balance's history and background. So we're going to save that for later. Let's begin with the history. I know, like me, you also thought the brand would have maybe launched in the 80s or 90s, but no, we're wrong. You're wrong like me. Despite the name, these guys have roots reaching back far over a century, way back to 1906. A boy named William Riley, fresh from Ireland, planted the seeds for New Balance in Boston. I bet you didn't know this company's origins date back to a chicken's walk. Yes, watching a chicken balance on 3 toes inspired Riley's idea for shoe inserts with 3 points of support. That's where the name New Balance came from. Pretty quirky, right? For the longest time, New Balance was all about making arch inserts and specialized shoes for hardworking folks in Boston. They were the go-to for the blue-collar crowd standing on their feet all day. It was their gig for over 60 years, a low-key operation selling orthopedic footwear to locals. In 1956, things took a turn when the business baton was sold to Eleanor and her hubby, Paul Kidd. Their focus was on selling arch supports, staying in their lane and doing their thing. Fast forward to 1960, and these two came up with a total game changer, the Trackster. It wasn't your regular shoe. It was the first running shoe that came in different widths. Can you imagine the buzz that must have been created? It was like the shoe world's equivalent of inventing the wheel. Now, here we don't have the exact number of sales records, but one thing I know for sure is that it gathered huge yet positive attention from all over the world, especially from athletes and publications like Runner's World. The Trackster didn't just sit on the shelves collecting dust, it became the go-to shoe for YMCA programs. I mean, it was practically the unofficial shoe for these programs. College track teams like MIT, Tufts University, and Boston University also laced up their cross-country teams with Tracksters. And guess what? Soon, other colleges and high schools across the country jumped on the Trackster train. It's wild to think about the ripple effect one shoe can have, right? Now here's what I found even more interesting. In 1972, Jim Davis, a young lad, saw promise in this shoe game. At 28, he snagged New Balance. A move that could not have been timed better. Remember the jogging craze of the 1970s? Yeah, suddenly everyone and their grandma were jogging for health. And guess who provided the kicks? New Balance stepped up their game with the 320, a blue and white wonder with that iconic in symbol. Comfortable and available in various widths. They even rolled out the W320, a running shoe tailored for ladies. Jim Davis believed in one thing above everything else: comfy, top-quality shoes. While other big players like Nike were splurging to make their kicks seem flashy and cool, New Balance put all their chips on innovating the shoes themselves. And man, that decision changed the game. I think no other brand was this crazy and unusual in marketing as New Balance used to be. Their marketing game wasn't all billboards and TV ads. No, it was all about that word-of-mouth buzz and hitting up local sports fairs. Can you imagine hearing about the coolest running shoe through your friend or stumbling upon it at a sports fair. That's the kind of grassroots movement that also made the Trackster a sensation. Moreover, it did dip its toe into the endorsement pond once. They dished out a hefty $1 million to James Worthy from the LA Lakers to promote their kicks. Crazy, right? It was a big deal back then, especially because it went against their usual game plan. Plus, Worthy was repping the Lakers, the arch enemies of their hometown heroes, the Boston Celtics. That was their only major NBA deal for like 3 decades. Now, let me tell you that Jim Davis was the kind of guy who stuck to his guns. He refused to shift production to cheaper countries because he knew it means sacrificing quality. By the way, would you have done the same thing if you were in the place of Jim? While New Balance kept dropping quality products, they weren't exactly shouting about it. They weren't the flashy, in-your-face type. And guess what? Sales took a hit. People started giving them the side-eye, thinking they were kind of uncool. New Balance turned a corner by using the term dad's everyday shoes. Yes, right, shoes that became popular among dads. Now, that might not scream cool, but think about it. If you're a dad in your 40s, you might not want to rock the same kicks as your kids and their pals. Maybe you're after something different, something comfy. And that's where New Balance stepped in. They became the go-to for comfort over style. I'm not saying they put out ugly shoes, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? It's all about providing kicks that dads and folks valuing comfort can rely on. Here, I've got another of their strange anti-trend business approaches that might shock you once again. Back then, instead of splashing athletes and celebrities across their ads, they went for a different vibe. Let me introduce you to Ma and Pa Balance. These are like the OG hipsters, but older. Proto-hipsters, if you will. And guess what? They were the faces of the 320 model. Yes, Nike and Adidas were having Michael Jordan, and New Balance was taking these elderly people. That's a huge difference. You see, the 1970s weren't about selling stuff based on cold, calculated reasons. No, people wanted ads that made them feel good about themselves. And what can make you feel cooler than seeing these old folks rocking some seriously cool sneakers? Next, what I found is that while others were all about the glitz and glamour, New Balance wasn't into the whole cool and trendy scene. Instead, they became known for their dependable, everyday wear, kicks that were reliable, functional, and sensible. Even though New Balance intentionally steered away from the fashion circus, they unintentionally bagged some unsung celebrity endorsements. Do you remember when Steve Jobs casually rocked a pair of gray New Balance 1992s at the first iPhone launch in 2007? Well, I do, and trust me, that move spoke volumes. Over 5 decades, New Balance expanded its horizons, diving into the sneaker market while making sure running remained at its core. Take the New Balance 574 from 1988. It's still kicking in production today. Their 5 Series became iconic for its simplicity, giving the brand its recognizable touch. While New Balance didn't initially go all out for partnerships, times changed and they had to adapt. Suddenly, you're seeing celebrities like Timothée Chalamet, Hailey Bieber, and Jack Harlow rocking New Balance. But these collabs kept things grounded and low-key, setting New Balance apart from the flashy promotions of its competitors. Speaking of collaborations, in 2021, they revamped their bestseller, the New Balance 550, with fashion brand Aimé Leon Dore. These moves kept New Balance relevant, adding to its appeal without losing its essence. New Balance wasn't afraid to balance accessibility and exclusivity. They deliberately kept some assortments scarce, skyrocketing demand and creating a buzz beyond regular retail. This intentional scarcity, it made New Balance shoes not just sneakers, but coveted must-haves. Now, let me tell you some unbelievable stats. In 2019, New Balance clocked over $3 billion in revenue. But compared to heavyweights like Nike and Adidas, it's still playing catch-up. Yet despite being a smaller player, its recent surge in popularity sets it up for rapid revenue growth, giving the big guns a run for their money. Now, what's up with all this nostalgic craze? It turns out that New Balance has cracked the code. They've tapped into people's love for the good old days by bringing back retro-style shoes that make you feel like you're stepping back in time. Do you know the classic designs that give you a warm, fuzzy feeling of nostalgia? New Balance nailed it with those. It's like stepping into a pair of shoes that scream, "Remember the good times?" That vibe alone has hooked customers, favoring New Balance over other brands. Speaking of demographics, Gen Z is digging New Balance big time. They've gone from nodding slightly at these kicks to giving them full-on thumbs up. The young guns vibrate with the brand's vibe, a big win in today's market. And guess what? Men seem to be saying, "Yeah, I'm in," more than ever, while the ladies are cooling off a bit. But New Balance isn't sweating it. They're adapting to the changing preferences like a champ. Do you think it's easy to get customers this engaged without following daily trends? No, it's not. But New Balance is doing it very easily. When it comes to people driven by nostalgia in their purchases, New Balance is hitting the jackpot. A whopping 66% of people who love diving into the nostalgia pool also dig New Balance shoes. That's a big chunk of customers right there. But get this, even among Nike fans, the nostalgia factor isn't as strong. Only a quarter of them are buzzing with nostalgia for Nike shoes, while a massive 66% are feeling the retro love for New Balance. Now, finally, it's time to answer this question, the one that the whole video is about. So why is New Balance rolling in the dough despite not chasing after the latest trends like its flashy footwear rivals Nike and Adidas? Though I have addressed the question and clarified everything throughout the video, allow me to restate it in summary for you. While brands like Nike and Adidas chased fleeting trends and celebrity endorsements, New Balance doubled down on what truly matters, making comfy shoes. And these aren't flimsy fashion statements, they're designed for miles with innovation text like absorb and fresh foam, prioritizing support and functionality above all else. Revenue doubled down from $2.7 billion in 2012 to $5.3 billion in 2022, proving comfort sells even in a world obsessed with hype. No outsourcing. New Balance bucked the trend, keeping production in the United States, creating thousands of jobs, and securing loyal customers who value ethically sourced products. It wasn't just feel-good marketing, it was a smart economic move, boosting brand affinity and contributing to a 7% revenue increase in 2023 compared to 2022. New Balance didn't just sell shoes, they built a tribe. They sponsored local events, supported everyday athletes, and fostered a sense of belonging that went beyond just a brand. This loyal community drove organic growth, boosting brand engagement, and contributed a 5% increase in customer retention in 2023. While Nike remains the undisputed king of the footwear jungle, New Balance is steadily closing the gap. In 2023, Nike's estimated revenue sits at $50 billion, while New Balance has surged to $7 billion. That's a 7-to-1 ratio. That was closer to 8-to-1 just 3 years ago. New Balance is eating away at Nike's market share, proving that comfort and authenticity can compete with the hype and celebrity endorsements. In a nutshell, what I truly feel is that New Balance approach might not be the flashiest or the trendiest, but it's certainly raking in the dough. They're dishing out reliable shoes that people are saying, "Take my money." And while they may not be the kings of cool, they're surely holding court in the footwear kingdom. What do you guys think about New Balance's amazing journey and unique anti-trend approach? Write at me down in the comment section below. I'll be waiting for your response to keep this conversation going. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.